public safety can keep his role?
Look, I'm willing to work with my colleague to make sure that we execute on the campaign commitment when it comes to the gun buyback. Look, I'm going to always ensure that the Prime Minister has the authority to determine who's in which role. But my experience with Minister Anandasangaree is that he is a professional who cares deeply about the country, and I value his partnership. I'm late for my meeting. You can try and catch me in the back end.
La SCFA vient de faire une sortie en disant que M. Carney, en fait, il craint les coupes liées au programme lié aux francophones hors Québec. Ils ont l'impression que M. Carney n'a pas suffisamment à cœur les francophones hors Québec.
C'est pas mon expérience. Évidemment, on a des gens au sein de notre gouvernement, dont le premier ministre, qui sommes absolument dévoués aux deux communautés linguistiques au Canada, à leur épanouissement et à défendre leurs droits. Ça, on va continuer de faire ça.
Mais si on coupe, en quoi est-ce qu'on va les aider?
Mais ta question commence avec si, donc on va attendre le budget.
Bien, vous avez quand même, justement, est-ce que vous avez été rassuré, vous, des informations que vous avez eues?
Quant
au budget qui s'en vient?
Moi, je peux faire l'affirmation suivante. Jamais on va reculer sur les droits et l'épanouissement des communautés linguistiques au Canada.
Dans les programmes.
Vous allez attendre le budget.
Should the public safety minister keep his job?
Gary Anandasangaree is an incredibly committed public servant. He's carrying some very big files. And one that was announced yesterday, he's been answering all the questions. Mr. Anandasangaree is doing a good job.
Should the public safety minister stay in his role?
Look, I have confidence in the public safety minister and the programs that we're rolling out. This is what Canadians asked us to do. They voted for this, and we need to get the programs out.
So should he stay in his role?
I have full confidence in him, and he should be doing what the Prime Minister asked him to do, is to roll out this program, and that's exactly what he's doing. The announcement yesterday was this, and I think Canadians expect us to do it. But thank you so much.
Did you listen to the leaked audio yourself?
Gary Anandasangaree should stay as a minister. What do you make of it?
You had lots of opportunity to ask him questions yesterday, and I thought he answered them. I don't know what more I can add.
Do you think it was to be disloyal about it?
No, I think Gary's incredibly loyal. I think he's doing a great job. He believes in the program, so do I, which is why I was standing with him yesterday.
But how can you say he believes in the program? He didn't seem to defend it in that reporting.
You've heard him defend it. I've heard him defend it. I've talked to him privately. He believes in the program. I don't know more I can say.
Polytechnic survivors, has that cast doubt on the government's seriousness about this program?
Well, the fact that we're moving ahead with it, I would suggest, leads to a different conclusion, and that's why we are doing it. So, I mean, it's an important program. Gary is firmly committed to it, as are we. So, I'm not sure much more I can say about it.
Just on the audio that they're moving ahead because it was important to voters in Quebec.
I heard the audio and I've heard Gary's explanation, and I'm satisfied with his explanation. So.
Do you think it's going to come up in caucus?
Ontario Liberal leadership choosing process. What do you think the Ontario Party needs at this point in time?
Well, I mean, I think we have a lot of issues that people are very concerned about in Ontario. Whether that's the economy and affordability, whether that's housing, whether that's crime, a number of issues. And I think Ontario Liberals are looking for a leader who can bring forward ideas to address those problems. I don't think those issues are being properly addressed by the current premier.
Yeah.
And,
I've seen your name in the mix of potential aspirants for the job. Can I get you to respond to that?
I'll just say that I'm considering it. I've been approached by a number of people, and I'm considering it.
Do you think the party needs to, everybody says, move a little more left, a little more right? Is there some change required by the party's approach?
I think I'll reserve comment on that. Sure. I think I need to. I want to listen to what people have to say before I comment on that.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
The public safety minister's leaked audio. What damage do you think that's caused?
Look, I think these are questions for the public safety minister. I'm focused on, for me, what's important is addressing the concerns that people have about crime and safety in our community.
Pensez-vous de ces propos, M. Anandasangaree, quand il dit qu'il aurait fait les choses différemment, que même il va jusqu'à blaguer en disant qu'il paierait la caution, et quelqu'un qui respecte la loi, vous en pensez quoi?
J'ai pas entendu. Est-ce que vous pouvez répéter la question?
Vous pensez quoi des propos? Est-ce que vous avez entendu les propos de Anandasangaree? L'enregistrement audio?
Je n'ai pas entendu.
Vous n'avez pas entendu, ok. Vous avez entendu la période de questions hier, c'est revenu sur la table, donc est-ce que vous pensez que dans ce contexte-là, il peut rester comme ministre?
Écoute, je pense que en ce qui concerne notre gouvernement, les enjeux qui touchent la sécurité, je pense que M. Anandasangaree et toutes nos équipes est concentré sur arrêter les gens qui font ces crimes et de s'assurer que les gens se sentent sécuritaires dans leur communauté. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
The Ontario Liberal leadership?
What I said just previously was that I've been approached by a number of people and encouraged to run, and I'm considering it.
Okay.
Thank you.
As a Palestinian member of parliament, it must have been a pretty significant day to see what the Prime Minister said at the UN today. Can you maybe just reflect on that?
Absolutely. Generations of Canadians have fought for our country to get to where it is right now. This is historic, but it's clear that more is needed. We're watching the situation on the ground and what I would describe as a genocide, and I know that many others would as well. And we need to see more concrete action. Thank you so much.
And what did you think when the Prime Minister, I assume you watched the speech?
Of course I did.
Yeah, so what did you think? Did he get the right tone? Anything that more he might have wanted to say?
I'm proud. I'm proud, and I'm cognizant of the fact that this is generations and generations worth of work. I'm also mindful of the fact that undermining that would be undermining the people who fought for this very moment.
How do you think it's going to be received within the caucus? Because you have some colleagues who don't believe that we should recognize the Palestinians. I'm thinking of Mr. Housefather, but also as well. How do you think it's going to play out in the caucus and the team?
I think our caucus will have a conversation together, as we always do, and we'll come out together, as we always do.
Thank you all so much. Do you think the government needs... Hi, can we have your thoughts on the recognition?
Oh, sorry?
Can we have your thoughts on the recognition of Palestine?
I had put out a statement a couple of months ago when this first came up. So as I stated at the time, I believe the conditions that we've applied to normalization should have been applied to recognition. I strongly support the government in wanting a two-state solution, but I would have not recognized the state while there's hostages under tunnels in Gaza and Hamas is still in power. So I would have applied the test that we have done to normalization to the recognition.
So what do you think should happen now?
What I think should happen now, we should do everything we can, just like the rest of the world, to try to make peace in the Middle East and get the hostages out, get Hamas out of power, and have a two-state solution.
Last year, you thought about leaving the Liberal caucus because of the. Oui, excusez-moi, vous avez parlé de quitter le caucus libéral à cause de l'appui à la motion du NPD. Est-ce que vous êtes là encore?
Non, pas du tout. J'ai annoncé juste après que j'ai décidé de rester. Et je suis très content avec M. Carney, je suis très content avec notre gouvernement.
Oui, en 2024, c'est parce qu'il y avait la reconnaissance par les libéraux de cette Palestine qui
non,
aujourd'hui est la politique.
C'était pas du tout qu'est-ce que la motion a dit.
This was long overdue. It's a great step, and I really want to thank the Prime Minister and the Foreign Affairs Minister for taking this important step. It's, I think, for the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people to self-determination. This is a right step, but there is a lot more to be done. I think it's really very, as I have said, that there needs to be a two-way arms embargo. Humanitarian aid needs to get in. I'm just coming from a briefing by Oxfam, and what all I have heard about the killing of the humanitarian workers. We have never seen that in any conflict. So it's really very important that there is a ceasefire, and this genocide which is happening in Gaza must stop, and the illegal expansion in West Bank. I have seen firsthand the impact of the illegal settlement because I was there in 2024. So there is a lot more to be done.
How do you think it's being received within the caucus? Because there are some very pro-Israeli colleagues in the caucus.
I think this is a right step, and this is in line with long-standing two-state solution foreign policy. So this is absolutely in line with Canada's foreign policy.
You don't think there's any division within the caucus on that?
This is in line with Canada's two-state foreign policy.
So do you have clarity on whether DCAP is actually banned from performing in Canada? The PolSec has said one thing, Immigration Department.
I'm myself trying to get some clarity on that. I'm trying.
You should do more. What is more?
There needs to be a two-way arms embargo. See, Canada is providing humanitarian aid, and But not enough, right? Yes, and at the same time, the Canadian arms are going through U.S. or and being used to killing people. So I think that is not a right thing. There needs to be a two-way arms embargo. Like no Canadian arms should be used there. I think we need to look into the trade deal. Like there is a clear-cut violation of the international law and human rights. So we need to look into the trade agreement with Israel.
If you can try to catch me on the back end, I'm late already.
Are you involved in the Canada Post?
I'll be pushing for that.
I have a quick question for you. We've obtained a report from FinTrack that shows that these machines are the #1 way that fraudsters are getting money from Canadians. Your government has no regulations specific to these machines. Why is that?
Which machine, just so that
Cryptocurrency ATMs.
Listen, we're looking very much at all the matters that will strengthen our laws in Canada and our regulation. You know, we've been bringing to the G7 even a whole stream of work around financial crimes, making sure that we tighten all the rules around money laundering, making sure that we work more together as G7, because you know a lot of these things are transnational. They've been used to sometimes avoid laws and regulations. So I can tell you this is something we're looking at very carefully, very seriously as well. And it's not just Canada, but I would say it's a really G7 initiative. So we're in lockstep with our colleagues because that's one of the things that we need to look at. Obviously, domestically, your question is appropriate, but also in the international context, how can we learn from each other, implement best practices, coordinate with liaison officers, because we know that those who would be trying to circumvent the rules are not just doing that in Canada, but they're usually organized around other countries as well, so that's what we're doing for now.
You mentioned the G7 countries. Other countries have banned these machines. Why is the government not taking
Listen, we're, like I said, we're looking at that, learning from each other, because it's not one item you need to look at, but the whole ecosystem. But what I can assure is that that's a very active discussion within the G7 where we're looking at that, because we want to be coordinated, and we certainly want to make sure that there's no loopholes that people would use to avoid regulations among our countries. Merci. Merci tout le monde.
Bonjour Madame Portier. La FCFA vient de faire une sortie, elle s'inquiète des coupes en francophonie. Elle dit que M. Carney n'a peut-être pas à cœur les intérêts des francophones hors Québec. Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez?
Bien, premièrement, on va voir le budget le 4 novembre. Je pense que la francophonie, les langues officielles, c'est encore sur le radar du premier ministre. C'est très important. En tout cas, je sais que moi, je vais continuer à mettre ça de l'avant.
Sur le radar, mais est-ce que c'est une priorité?
Who was found to be accessing Carney and Trudeau's financials. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I have barely seen the report, so it's difficult for me to comment on something specific, but it just reinforced that we need to have strong procedures in place, obviously, to preserve privacy, and it applies to all Canadians, so it just reminds everyone that, privacy and having system to prevent, fraudulent access to anyone's file is something that we should all be concerned about. So that's what I could say. I'll see you soon.
Any thoughts on an RBC employee allegedly accessing Carney and Trudeau's financials? Does that worry you?
I'm not aware of those details, actually. Yeah, but that would worry me. Yeah.
Can we talk about minister and relations?
I think diplomacy is absolutely necessary all the time. The reality is any relationship with China will be important with eyes wide open. That's what I've always said, and I am not perceiving a change. I've not heard a change, but I do know that conversations are happening and continually, because Canada needs a strong relationship with every trading partner in the world, and so we'll continue those processes. So I'm very glad the Prime Minister is having appropriate conversations, and I think that will be for the best for Canadians.
So in terms of eyes wide open, what would your advice be to the Prime Minister as he's going into trying to soften relations potentially with places like China or India?
I think the reality is we have different systems, so we have to learn to uphold our values while respecting their system as well. And I think we've always talked about cooperating in areas that will be a benefit for both countries, but also agreeing to disagree on other things. And so I think that the Chinese have always been looking for a respectful relationship, and I think the Prime Minister is a respectful leader.
Speaking with the Premier, seeming to try to have more softening of relations with the Chinese. I'm just wondering if you have any concerns about that or any thoughts on how Canada should approach trying to move forward a trade relationship with China.
Well, I thought the Prime Minister was pretty clear yesterday. I mean, China is our second largest market in terms of where we send products. I had the privilege of being with Premier Mo and working alongside a number of ministries, not just on canola, lobster in Atlantic Canada. We can look at the beef sector, tourism. There's a lot of different dynamics. So I think the Prime Minister having that engagement is the right thing to do. I was glad to see that he had the conversation with Premier Lee yesterday at UNGA. I haven't had the opportunity to have a direct conversation with the Prime Minister, but I think he is saying we have to have a pragmatic and collaborative pathway forward. And I would highlight that the United States is also having those conversations. They've been having them in Spain. President Trump, I think, actually just signaled a couple days ago that he hopes to be in China next year in 2026. So I think we have to have those conversations.
Do you think there's a path out of the trade war that we're currently in with China, which sees those tariffs that you're talking about, canola, the agriculture products, come down?
I read the readout that you would have, that the Prime Minister had at UNGA. Yeah, what I would say is that the conversations we had, I would echo what the Premier of Saskatchewan has said, which the conversations were positive, they were constructive, and I do think that more dialogue is necessary. We're in an environment right now where this government is signaling, whether it's countries that we may not agree with on a whole host of issues, where can we find areas for cooperation? The Prime Minister invited Prime Minister Modi to the G7. We invited UAE representation, world leaders that would not normally be part of the G7, but that's part of the Prime Minister's outlook, is that we have to have dialogue and conversation move forward. I got to keep moving. Thank you very much. Cheers.
You're the Minister for Public Services, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
There's been published reports, Mr. Nussbaum was referring to movement on 24 Sussex renovations. What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, this is under review. I have nothing to add at this point, but of course we're taking keen interest in the future of 24 Sussex, and decisions will have to be made, but we're not there yet. Thank you very much.
Can I just ask about the impact of the in-office mandate? What impact is that having on the government's promise to try to sell off or lease office property?
Well, it's, we're still focused on trying to reach the objective that we've set ourselves, so a 50% reduction by 2034. Progress has been made. More is to be done.
Are you having to rethink the mandate about having public servants in office in order to make that commitment happen?
Well, it's a work in progress, but at this stage, we're still focused on the objective we've set ourselves to save significant sums of money by reducing office space. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sailor, an Olympic hopeful, talking about allegedly sexual assault that happened in 2024. She says that the sports authorities covered it up and didn't take it seriously. Do you have any thoughts on that? I can give you more specifics here in a second.
I won't comment on something that I haven't done. I'm sorry, I haven't heard of that. So.
Do you think there is an importance or should there be a priority for these organizations to take accusations of any sexual assault or abuse seriously?
So underway currently is the Future of Sport in Canada Commission, something that our government is very proud to have commissioned. Justice Maisonneuve is doing an extraordinary job with outreach across the country. They just held a summit here in Ottawa. They've issued 71 preliminary interim recommendations to make sure that sport is safer, more accessible, more inclusive, more welcoming in Canada, and that work is underway. But I'll have a look at what you mentioned.
What are the penalties if the Office of the Sport of Integrity Commissioner doesn't report those kinds of allegations to Safe Sport Canada?
Again, without details on this case, I won't comment.
Would there be any penalties if an organization didn't?